When you do visit a cafe, you're typically not handed a menu or a carte. That can be really frustrating if you have no idea what you want to order. And so I wanted to go through some of the different types of coffee you can order if that's what you're trying to order, and show you a few examples of what those might look like to better help you decide what you would like to order. I am from the US, but I've lived in France for the last year and wanted to talk to you today about coffee. So we're gonna have a little coffee talk and the French cafe experience. So when the French drink coffee, they're not drinking the coffee for its taste like maybe we would in the US. It's not as serious of a drink. Like, you don't have coffee snobs everywhere like you do in the US. And in bigger cities, yes, you'll have some very like boutique, very, little coffee bars that are very serious about their coffee, about roasting it and grinding it and brewing it. And that's wonderful. But in your typical like small town in France or big cafes, it is not about the quality of the coffee. It's really the experience. It's getting together with friends for a quick drink and then going your separate ways. You would call a coffee break pause café. So a pause café is just that, a little pause to drink coffee, and then you go back to work. When you do go to a cafe, most of them do not mind unless they offer. Some of them will offer like a little breakfast menu, so you'll have a few options, and they're things like a croissant, pain au chocolat, just a few different simple breakfast items. If they don't offer anything, these cafes do not mind typically if you bring your own pastry. So if you are wanting to have breakfast and you've stopped by the bakery before you went to get coffee, it's not strange to, especially if you're sitting outdoors, to eat. I know in the US that's really taboo, but here, if they don't offer what you're looking for, like breakfast, if it's really just a place to get a cup of coffee, then there's really not a problem with you eating a pastry. And you can always ask, they'll let you know. So, but I've never had a problem with that, and I've seen other people do that as well. A typical cup of coffee is about €1.50. It definitely depends on where you get it. If you're at a fancy restaurant, it's obviously gonna cost more. And if you're just grabbing a coffee to go, café emporté, it might be less. It just depends on where you're getting your coffee from. But I would say about €1.50 for a café is a reasonable price. When you order a café, you are getting espresso. Drip coffee is for home. So your coffee pot, what you brew at home, what you typically see in restaurants in the US, you're not going to see that in restaurants and coffee shops, cafes in France. What you get is espresso, and any drink that they serve you will have espresso in it. So un café is actually espresso. So if you order that, you're getting a very tiny cup of espresso. Typically you'll get a little biscuit, maybe a piece of candy, a little lump of sugar or a packet of sugar, and a little spoon. That's all that comes with un café. And sometimes you don't get a little cookie or anything. It just depends on where you are. If you're looking for something that resembles drip coffee, you could order café allongé or café américain. That's right, American coffee. But it's not really American coffee, it's espresso, and they pour hot water over the coffee. So it really just kind of mellows out the espresso. It's still very strong, so it's like a very strong cup of coffee, and it's still very small. These are not big cups of coffee. So I think that would probably be pretty shocking to an American to come to France and order a cup of coffee or a cup of American coffee and see that it's really, really small. You may order more than one if you want a larger coffee. I know Americans tend to drink more than the French. If you're looking for a decaf coffee, you can order un deca, which stands for decaf, and you can order that in any drink. It would just be brewed an espresso. So you could say café crème deca. So it would be decaffeinated coffee. The next drink is café noisette. This is espresso with a little bit of milk in it. And it's called noisette, which means nut, not because it has any kind of nut flavoring. The French do not use flavorings in their drinks. They don't typically make lattes. They don't have any kind of flavor in their drinks. It's called noisette because of the color, because it's kind of a light brown that resembles a nut. So if you order a noisette, it's espresso with just a little bit of milk in it. A café crème is espresso with steamed milk in it. So it's going to be more milk than a noisette, but it's going to be less milk than café au lait, which is something that's typically consumed at home for the French. You can order café au lait when you're out, but it's typically, that means coffee with milk, but it's usually served at home in a big bowl. The French drink their coffee in the morning, only in the morning, in a large bowl, and they pour their drip coffee into the bowl, and then they pour milk in there, and it's a very milky coffee. So you can order it out. It will not come in a bowl at a restaurant or cafe, but it's just a very milky espresso. A drink that I tried to order, but the few times I tried to order it, they were out of whipped cream, is Café Viennois. And that is an espresso with whipped cream. Sometimes the whipped cream comes on top. A lot of times it'll come on the side so you can add it yourself. But it's just an espresso with whipped cream. You can also order chocolat viennois, which is hot chocolate with whipped cream. If you order a chocolat or chocolat chaud, that's hot chocolate, but you can just say chocolat and they'll know you're talking about hot chocolate. But Café Viennois is if you're a Starbucks person, that might be your drink, to have some whipped cream on the side. And the last drink I want to mention, which is kind of a drink dessert combo, is called Café Gourmand. And personally, one of my favorites. If you are at a restaurant and you are out for dinner or lunch, at the end of the meal, you can order a dessert or you can order Café Gourmand. And this is so fun because it's a cup of coffee, espresso, and then you get usually 3 different little desserts, and they're small, but it's like a sampling of whatever is on the dessert menu. So you don't know what you're gonna get, but it's usually pretty good, and if you don't like one, you'll like another one. So you get to try a little sampling of the dessert menu, and you get to enjoy your coffee. Those can be somewhere between 8 to 10 euro. So you're paying for the dessert as well as the coffee, and it definitely depends on what restaurant you're at. But I definitely recommend enjoying Café Gourmand if you're out to dinner or lunch somewhere. You will not find, unless you're in a big city, you'll find whole milk, but you're not going to find almond milk, coconut milk, all of the different nut milks, oat milk, all the different things that you would typically find now at an American coffee shop. You're just not going to have that option. So if you do have a problem with milk, you're better off going without any kind of drink with milk in it. I would just order a café or café allongé, and just stay away from the café crème or any others. Also, there are some drinks you could order. Sometimes you'll find like a cappuccino, and if it's a specialty coffee shop, you're going to find things like lattes. You will not find iced coffee unless you're in a specialty coffee shop. So what I'm speaking about today is really just the French cafe. It's really like a bar. You could order a beer or you could order a coffee. They're really serving drinks. It's pretty basic. Sometimes they'll serve some food, but I'm talking about your outdoor dining, just a very simple French cafe experience, not these like specialty coffee shops. So if you're looking for an iced coffee or specialty milk, you won't find that at your cafes. I hope this has been informative. If you have any questions about the cafe experience or dining in France, you can check out my other video on dining. Please leave a comment below, subscribe, and check out some of my other videos.